Hi folks, this is a quick one-shot take to explain how to get content from a Word document, or in this case, a Google document, into a Libretext format for it to be an open educational resource. Apologies for the low quality sound. This is being recorded on a laptop in one shot. So a lot of folks like to create original content in Word docs and Google Docs. This is an example of one where I'm explaining the difference between UDL, culturally responsive pedagogy, UX, accessibility, and learning theories. So this is a pretty long document. It could be printed as a handout. But for instance, how would I get this into Libretext? So first thing you do, make sure that you have the content that you actually want, that it's good. If it is not your original content, you have to make sure that it is a Creative Commons under one of the 5 Rs and that it has the ability to be remixed. If it is original content, like this is all original content with things generated with AI, any image has to have alt text as well as any table. They all have to have alt text to be Title II ADA compliant. Make sure that you don't have emojis in the middle of any of your sentences and that your hyperlinks are up to the proper standards, that you also have headings and things like that in accessibility. That's just a basic check. Always make sure you have that for all publishing things. But other than that, say it's ready to go. You want to get this into Libretext. You're going to go first just to libretext.org. It's going to take you to here. Now, Libretext, when you get here, everyone's like, wait a minute, where do I go? I'm so confused. Go to the Rocket. From the Rocket, you're going to have, this is only if you're a verified instructor already. There's a separate video for that if you're not. Go to Conductor. All right. And in Conductor, you're going to create a new project. We're going to title this UDL, UDL for CRP. I don't like that title. So we're going to call this Connecting All the Different Terms. Okay. And we're going to call it private for now, and we're going to create this project. Okay. All right, now all we've done is create a conductor page. I go over this in more detail in other videos, so I'm going to go pretty quick here. We're going to put this for now in the humanities library. Now remember, the library is one of the few things that you can't change afterwards, so make sure that you have that as is. Book titles and things like that can be changed later. Connecting all the terms, we're just going to leave it as it is for now. Terms for OER and learning models for now. Do it that and hit create. Okay. And it'll create a book for you. Now, in the book, it's only going to give you one chapter without any subheadings. So the way you would do that is you would go here to look, open your project. You're always going to have to do the double login. Right now, it says you don't have permission. Log in. Again, I go over this in more detail in other videos. You're going to have to go back to your Conductor project, relaunch it. Once you have it open, this is what it's always going to give you is front matter, one chapter, and a back matter. Do not touch the front or the back matter, please. If you open up the first chapter, there's not going to be anything in it. Now, say for instance, I go back to my Word document and I have multiple chapters. Say for instance, I have one on UDL and culturally responsive pedagogy. I have another on knowledge justice. Maybe I'm actually going to need a couple chapters, right? What you're going to want to do is go back to your book, okay, right here. And you're going to say, hey, I want to have more than one chapter. Right now, I only have one chapter. Maybe I want a couple of sub chapters. So what you're going to do is go back to your Conductor project now. You're logged in, open the remixer. However many chapters you want, that's what you're going to create here. Now, usually we talk about remixing. A lot of my other videos, we talk about pulling from existing content in the Libretext remixer. This is if you're using original content from a Word document or a Google document that you have the copyright on, or you have the permissions to share. So we go in here, maybe we name this first chapter about this book. We're going to do this later. Okay, about this book. And say I create 2 other chapters. Okay. And I want the chapter on UDL to be the first one, and I want this one to be the second one. So this is going to be about UDL, CRP, UX, and ADA, and pedagogy, learning theories, DTR theories. Okay. And let's save edits. That's going to be the first chapter. Now see, it just says page, but that's a chapter. And the second one, we're going to do this one as knowledge justice. Knowledge justice. Okay. And that one will have subpages as well. And say, for instance, I need a couple of subpages within that, and this one as well. Okay. Then you hit save to server, save to server. I go over all of this in more detail in other videos. This is just to get it set up. I want to get to how you would actually then transfer your book to a LibreText style. So that's what we're going to spend the majority of this tutorial doing. I will also have step-by-step instructions on that, but this is how you would get set up, which we can do in more detail. Do not try to click in until all of this is done. Right now it's saying there was a total of 19 changes. If you wanted to go back to the remixer, you'd click revise. We're going to go, your new text will be available here. Now you'll see we have multiple chapters. So we're going to go into the UDL book. This is the chapter for that. And we've got these different chapters. So now we can think about, okay, here's our original content. How would we want this broken up into different sections? Because students do not do really great with super long scrolling. They like things to be broken up. So you're probably going to want to think about maybe having this be one page, okay? And then having everything else be a second page. And here's the real fun part, okay? You just copy and paste it. So go up, Control C or Command C, depending on what device you're on. Go here and say on this very first page, before we go into some pages, we want something, okay? So say we can do this right here is your template. That's for all of your subpages, okay? So don't delete that. But say above that, we want this to be in there as an introduction. Oh no, it did it as normal text. Remember your ADA and WCAG compliance? We need headings, okay? So that's your heading 1, okay? That doesn't have to be under a heading. This is now a heading 2. There we go. All right, and you're good to go. Make sure that all of these have alt text and you hit save, okay? And just like that, you have now taken content that was in your Word document and you have made a page specifically on that. Now, what about all of our subpages, right? Because this is just the introduction. All right, so then we go to the new page because this is going to be our next section. So think about in your Word document how you would want to section it out. This is going to be our at a glance, okay? And then it just becomes a lot of copy pasting. It's literally just at a glance. At a glance, update title. Okay. Now it's called at a glance. You hit edit in the dark gray panel. Again, it's just blank. You're going to go over to your document, wherever it is, and it'll do a pretty good job with tables and with charts. It does not do a really great job with more complicated things. But here you go. Now you'll notice it did get rid of my beautiful colors that I had and made it just normal. However, this also made it more ADA compliant. If you want really beautiful colors, you can mess around with the HTML to make it be prettier, basically. And then you hit save, and your content is now, bam, in here, ready to go. Now, you'll notice that I really like the pretty colors. You'll see everything's rainbows for me. I like a lot of rainbows. But again, you have to think about what's best for true readability. So we've copy and pasted this content in here now. At a glance now has this in it. All right, we want to go to the next one. And then it just becomes a copy paste game. Okay. So then you're down here. How do we visualize this? And I give a couple different options for visualizations because a lot of people learn in different ways. So again, I just want to edit this. I'm going to title this one the second section, and we're not going to do all of them. This is just an example. Learning experiences, update the title, okay? And then hit edit in the dark gray panel. And you're going to go here and you're going to copy and paste it in, and it'll do it with the images. You do have to double check though, because sometimes alt text does not. So we're going to do all the way down to here. Yeah, to there. Copy, make a longer one, okay? Throw it in here, and it did exactly what I was hoping it would do in that, okay? See how it did? Threw everything in, but it's got a little window up here, and I bet there's not a lot of alt text on here. So first we hit save, make sure we're saving what we're doing. Think about the saving similar to Windows 97. You just have to make sure you save on a regular basis. Sometimes it will try to autosave for you, but it is not always accurate. So please remember to save as much as possible. Sometimes it takes a little while when you do a lot of content like this. All right, it's saving, but we have this little thing here. Oh no, what's going on? All right, so we have a couple things that we need to fix here. Content went in just fine, okay? But let's double check first if it has ADA compliant elements, right, for Title II. They're not hard to do. There's a couple ways to check. If it takes a while like this, you might have too many tabs open like I do. Now you'll see this little feature right here, the little guy in the circle. You can click on that and it'll tell you what ADA issues you have. You want to check for headings and alt texts and tables. Those are going to be the main ones that absolutely have to do. All of these should be done, but at the bare minimum, you have to have these three things done. I would recommend all of them. Hit OK. But it's going to show us that we don't have any alt text on some of these images, okay? Sometimes when you transfer between documents, the alt text and things like that don't change. So check again. So if we double click on this, all right, we should be able to double check whether or not it has accessibility in it. All right, now I often will put accessibility into my documents, so it could be that it already has accessibility built in, but that's something that you need to double check and hit save. Of course, it's frozen. Just refresh. Let's try one of the other pages too that doesn't have as many images in it. This is a lot of images for one. Let's go to the other one. There we go. Okay, so let's look at this one, for instance. It's just got this table or the front one, okay? So we've got the image in here. We hit edit. Let's double check. If you just double click on the image itself, okay, it should bring this up, all right? So it's saying that it did have alt text. So it was able to pull it from my Google document. I had put in alt text already, so it's in there, but you need to double check that. Also, do you want the image to be responsive or do you want it to be custom? Right now it's set at this. Maybe you want the image to be responsive, meaning you want it to move and change depending on how big or small someone's screen is. If a student is reading this on their phone, responsive is going to be better for them than if it's just absolutely a massive image, okay? And make sure that you have alt text. You hit save image, okay? There are also really beautiful, lovely templates you can do for your images. Now, this image was created with an AI. If it was not, you would need an image attribution, but we're just going to do image created with ChatGPT. We're going to basically build an attribution for this. ChatGPT 5 on, you can put the date, May 20th, 2026. Okay. And is under no copyright. Copyright. Because it's AI generated. Okay. And then you can hit save. All right. So now you have the image in here. It's been chunked. It's ready to go. This is an easy way to start uploading your content directly to a Libretext format. Once you have all of them in here, you can then publish it. Right now it says Workbench. That means only you can see it. You will need to publish it so that it isn't in the Workbench anymore, but instead will go to the repository for the IVC catalog, and it'll go here. So once you publish it, these are all the books that have been created by IVC faculty. It'll show up here as well. As of right now, it wouldn't show up there. That is how you get something from a Word document, okay, into a LibreText book. What I really recommend you thinking about is how to chunk it, because having all of this in one long scrollable page is not as user-friendly for students. So for instance, when I get down to teaching and learning approaches here, where I'm talking about the difference between pedagogy, andragogy, and hedagogy, and how this connects to UDL, CRP, and UX, that in and of itself is probably a separate page. It might even be a separate chapter, right? So make sure when you're looking at your book that you're thinking about that. So right now, when we go to connecting it all together, I have it connected here together. Is learning theories part of this? Should it be separate? Am I really just connecting it to these topics? If so, yes, that means it really needs to be a subcategory of that. That's why we have these down here. These are the different subcategories. A lot of people keep this first chapter, this first section, very clean. They don't put something in here other than maybe an introduction, but they would put this, right, in its own separate document. So say we do this, we copy it, we delete it, and we hit save. Okay, and as long as it's got that little template thing there, this is going to give you all those subpages. So often, this is your introduction to each chapter. You have a little tiny introduction, and then you have all of these things in here. Okay, and then you go into them, and that's when you actually start with the real content. So I'm going to put in here, at a glance, but before that, I'm going to put in this other image. Right, here we go, and hit save. All right, so now we have copy and paste it in. We've chunked it. We're thinking about how we're chunking the content down. And people like to think that it takes a long time, but as long as you know Control C, Control A, Control V, it's going to go real quick. And if you've already been doing your accessibility content in a Word document or Google document, most of it will transfer just fine. And then you've got it all in here together, ready to go, and you'll go to the publishing steps, which you can see in another video. So that is how you get content from a Word document into a LibreText project that then can be published and made into an OER textbook. That is one of your options for publishing from a Word document to a LibreText textbook.